An Oscar-winning actor, 10 plagues, and a whole lot of family drama. Tonight, Christian Bale takes us inside Exodus. It's one of the most epic stories of all time. And as you're about to see, one that makes for some pretty epic movie material, too. Here's ABC's Chris Connolly.
Action!
I came here to tell you that something is coming that I cannot control. Who are you talking to? God.
As played by 40-year-old Christian Bale in director Ridley Scott's Exodus, Gods and Kings, Moses reshapes history as much as any mortal has.
Do not call them animals! He was so much more human than I'd ever imagined. Had all the sort of temptations and indulgences that he'd grown up with.
Follow me and you will be free!
You know, absolutely seen as a freedom fighter for the Hebrews, but terrorist in terms of the Egyptian Empire.
Moses has been an inspirational icon for liberation movements throughout history, and is a central figure in 3 of the world's great religions. Whether or not such a man walked these deserts, leading God's chosen people across the Red Sea, out of bondage and into freedom, the Moses of the Old Testament is daunting as he challenges an empire, his God, and himself.
Well, what would happen to Moses if he arrived today? Drones would be sent out after him, right?
Exodus, Gods and Kings captures that Moses, the enemy of the state, after he's dispatched into exile, where he falls in love and starts a family.
What's the most important thing in your life?
You are. We should concentrate our strength in the center. You should concentrate yours on fighting. Just leave the generalship to me.
Moses begins the film all but blood brothers with Ramses, besting him on the battlefield. Until...
You know something's wrong. You've always felt it.
The revelation that he is a Hebrew transforms his life.
Your parents never told you the truth.
What truth?
The year of your birth, there was a prophecy that our leader would be born to liberate us.
That leader is you, Moses. Steve Zalian wrote this, and what he is writing is a story of revolution. And that's a story that can resonate no matter what the time.
I love creating universes or worlds. The baffling majesty of Egypt, I thought that's a real challenge.
First challenge, getting a commitment from Bale, an A-lister after The Dark Knight.
One day I called him up and said, I want you to consider this idea of playing Moses.
It was such a ridiculous idea.
So there was this gigantic silence. I think he muttered something.
What, like some abstract, like, different take on it? Or just sandals and the beard Moses? And he went, sandals and the beard Moses. Well, let's get my head around that one, because I didn't know anything about him except for that he was Charlton Heston.
Behold his mighty hand!
Heston's The 10 Commandments was a 4-hour epic in 1956, with a confident Moses, emboldened by his God's almighty power.
Things here have become much worse.
Bale crafted a more questioning, even reluctant Moses, based in part on his extensive readings in all 3 Abrahamic faiths.
He was someone who really wanted to try and get away from being God's messenger on earth.
To say I read the Old Testament would be inaccurate. I didn't have to. Christian read it 3 times. So I used to hear it every day, what I didn't know and what we should be doing.
Moses and God are arguing non-stop. God is disappointed with Moses.
How those conversations are depicted using an 11-year-old actor might be Scott's boldest move.
I cannot have rushing clouds and a voice coming from up there. I just don't buy that. And yet he must deal with some kind of messenger.
I am the God! I am the God!
As Egypt's self-proclaimed god, Ramses gets a more sympathetic portrayal from Joel Edgerton.
I'm not saying no. I'm saying time.
Than Moses' antagonist often receives.
I have this feeling like those people in great positions of power also harbour a great deep well of fear.
To do a man who is all bad also is less interesting. Ramses adored his wife, loved his child.
For months, ever since the 20th Century Fox film's casting was announced, Scott has been castigated by some for hiring white actors to play the two lead Egyptians. In response, he's noted the impossibility of financing a 9-figure epic without an internationally bankable star such as Bale. And he points to his casting of Syrian actor Ghassan Massoud in 2005's Kingdom of Heaven, as if to splash kerosene on the embers. Fox chairman Rupert Murdoch weighed in on Twitter over the weekend. Moses' film attacked for all-white cast, he wrote. Since when are Egyptians not white? All I know are. The subsequent firestorm led the mogul to soften his stance and suggest that everyone calm down.
How have you guys dealt with the issue that's been raised about your casting? That two Caucasian men are playing the lead roles in a story about people from the Middle East.
Look, you look at the existing mummy of Ramesses, and he has red hair, that certain pharaohs would have had green eyes and light skin, and Ridley and I had a lot of discussions. What the movie stands to say is so much more important than any of those debates. It is such an important story of revolution.
I wouldn't bloody last in the Sinai Desert for more than 40 minutes, let alone 40 years, I would just be one big, blister, as would Ridley. But I very much like what Ridley said. Would Egypt not have been a melting pot of the Middle East, of Europe, and of Africa? And I think that any debate about that is healthy, But please go see the film before you make judgment.
With an eye towards plausibility, Scott has crafted the plagues. Still, it's the climactic transformation of the Red Sea that most amazes.
You can't simply have the Gulf actually just part. You just can't do that. Now we know, and we are familiar with, the brutality of a tsunami and how fast it can drain. So I figured it was logical.
Yet for all its visual grandeur, the film rests on the shoulders of its Moses, even if the Oscar-winning Bale never feels all that confident.
Again!
God, I wish I had a technique, because I just wing it every time. When I'm arriving on the set and I'm looking and I'm going, I'm Moses, all right? And I've got to go down there and convince everyone that it was worth building these sets, for the performances that we're going to give. Now they've got to watch me come in and do my job. How am I going to sell them on that?
He's going to run away with the glory. It's going to be fine.
I'm Chris Connolly for Nightline in Los Angeles.
Exodus: Gods and Kings will be in movie theaters December 12th.